Hi, I'm Andrea.
Hello, my name is Gregor and I work for Nagel and Hammer.
And here we are with the Perla machine. We are going to show you the maintenance and operation of this machine. First things first, we are going to concentrate just on the control panel and the power switches. Right now our power is off, our vacuum is off, and the cross light is off. So first we will turn on the power, and once the power is on, you're going to see the temperature controller appear. We also need to turn on the vacuum and the cross light. The vacuum is important because this is what holds our pearl into place so that it does not fall out of position. The cross light is going to show over our heating element here. This will show us the precise placement of where the pearl will be affixed to the fabric. And of course, the heating element has to do with our temperature controller right here. If you'd like to change the Fahrenheit from Celsius to Fahrenheit, or from Fahrenheit to Celsius, there is a combination of buttons that you need to press. You'll need to press the up, down, and mode button all together for about 2 seconds. Once we press that, you will see a J and a C down below. This designates that you're in Celsius. In order to change to Fahrenheit, we will press the up arrow several times until we see the correct lettering here. We are looking for J and F. Once that is shown, we will then press the mode button several times until we get back to the temperature reading. Once we are at the temperature reading, you'll notice that it goes back to 0 degree. So from here, we do need to set the temperature accordingly. Remember, hit the mode button. Once you hit the mode button, then you can set that temperature. After it's set, press mode again, and you're back to the heating element adjusting. The container on the side of the machine over here holds the pearls to fix to the fabric. Now, with this container, we can fill it up with pearls and we can also exchange it. In order to exchange the pearls, we must first unplug the connector in the back. It's important to do so because if you don't unplug it, the container will not release from the side. When you release that, it also deactivates the plate. You also want to make sure to put a container underneath the foot here just in case any pearls do fall out. So after it is disconnected, we can now release that container. In order to release it, we pull up and to the left. Now the pearls are in our container, and to reconnect it, we place that container back in that same position. We make sure that we plug in the connector, and then we can take our pearls and just simply pour them into the container back here. If you change the pearls to a different size, you need to make sure that you change this plate down here. This plate, you have 4 different sizes that you can choose from or that you can change for sizes 4mm, 5mm, 8mm, and 10mm. Now, it's important that we turn off the machine first before we change this. This disconnects the vacuum pump to it, and it's also important that we have a container under here because there are some pearls within this plate. In order to remove the plate, we have 2 thumb screws at the bottom. You can just simply unscrew them and remove the block. Now the block has 2 components to it, the main block as well as a small bolt. That bolt will need to also line up here with the channel. The second step is to also remove the foot. This feeds the pearl, so you need to make sure you have the right size to feed the pearl. You need a size 3mm Allen wrench to unscrew it and loosen that foot. Once you have that removed, we can now change to the correct foot. So there are 2 main pieces to changing this. So now we will take the new foot and put it into the slot. It's important that when we do insert it into the slot, we push it all the way up as far as possible. Then we take our 3mm Allen and tighten that so it's nice and snug to hold it into position. The second part is the block. Now with the block, there are some important things to make sure of when we do put it back in. First of all, we have a hole here, and this hole needs to make sure to line up with the container, as this will feed the pearls. So this will need to go to the left side. The other thing that we need to take care of is that we have this bolt that needs to fit inside the channel behind here. And of course, we have the holes to line up with the screws. So in order to insert the block, we will go ahead and line it up with the screws, as well as making sure that bolt piece does fit into the channel. Once it is in position, we will then take the thumb screws and tighten it up to where it's nice and snug. Again, we want to make sure that it is all the way up as far as possible so that the pearls feed through that hole properly. Now underneath the table, there are a couple of things that we do have to take care of. We have to take care of maintaining the area underneath, as well as exchanging the thread. In order to remove the table, we have 2 screws, one on either side. They do have wing nuts as well as a washer, so you need to take care that you make sure to put this in a safe place before you remove the table. Once these are both taken off, we can then remove the table just by lifting up, and in here you see some internal components. It's important to check this depending upon how often you do work. It's important to check it to make sure it's nice and clean. First of all, we have a container that will fill with extra pearls or thread, and it's important to empty this. We can also remove this and clean it of any debris. It's important that when you do remove it, this is the heating element. So if you just turned off the machine, it might still be hot. We don't have any screws or anything like that to remove it with. All we have to do is just simply lift it up. So you can just lift it up and dump it out. You can take a brush and also remove any dust or anything. It's also important just to check around here, make sure it is clean. That way your machine will run at optimum performance. To put this the slide back onto the heating element, you just simply put it on the slot again. Now underneath the table, this is where you can also change out the thread. You may want to change out the thread to go to a thicker thread, or you may have to replace it because it is out. On the left-hand side, you will see a couple of levers. The first lever that we need to pull back will hold the thread. It's important to hold the thread with your fingers before you pull this lever back, as it may pull back quite quickly. So you will hold that thread, pull it back, and then remove the thread by backing it out. The next step is to remove the wheel from the lever on the side. It's important again to secure that thread so that it doesn't unwind quite fast. Go ahead and pull the lever back, remove the wheel, and let go of the lever. To replace the thread, we will need to make sure to put the wheel onto the unwinder. In order to do this, we push the lever back out of the way, and then we can place the wheel right on top. And it's important to put it on this unwinder counterclockwise. After it is in position, we can then let go of the lever to secure that thread. The next step is to pull the holding lever back to access the holes that the thread needs to follow. So we will pull that back, and you will see there are actually 2 holes. The first hole, we will thread it through, make sure it goes all the way through to the second hole. You will push this through both holes until you can't push anymore. Once it is in position, you will then release the lever and it will hold it in place. Every so often, we do have to clean the filters for this machine. There's a filter on top of the machine as well as below and on the side of the machine. In order to clean the filter, it's very easy. We just have to remove the filter away from the connector. To do this, there's a little notch in here that we must press down and twist. Then we can remove the plastic part from the filter, and the filter actually can fall out, or if you need more help removing it, you can then take the top plastic piece and unscrew it, as well as take away the tube. In cleaning this filter, it's easy to use clean compressed air to blow out the filter. Once the filter is clean, we need to replace it into the tube. It's important to have the open end going towards the blue piece. Then we must twist it back in by pressing down and twisting to the right, so that notch does fall into the slot. Depending on the pearl and the material, we may need to adjust the feeding foot, and we may need to adjust the height of it. In order to adjust this, first it's a good idea to have the pearl that you would like to affix to the fabric. With the vacuum pump on, you can simply place a pearl right on the feeding foot. The other thing to take care of is just to make sure that your temperature is lower so that you don't burn your finger. After we have that pearl in position, we can then turn off the air, which lowers the feeding foot. After it is lowered, you can then see what the distance is between the heating element and the pearl. In order to adjust this, we take a 4mm Allen wrench and unscrew it from the wheel so that it is loose enough that the wheel can turn freely. We can turn the wheel clockwise or counterclockwise, depending upon which way you would like to go to adjust the height. By turning it clockwise, you will make the foot higher. By turning it counterclockwise, you will make the foot lower. You typically want that pearl just a little bit above the fabric, or to just touch the fabric for the correct adjustment. You can also slip your fabric underneath the pearl to look at this and to adjust it. After you have that in place, you will want to take that 4mm wrench again and tighten that Allen. Once that is tightened, you can then turn the air back on, as well as turn the heating element back up, and then test your fabric. With the Vollperlen machine, the electrical requirements are that it is 220 volt, 0.5 kilowatts. So you can plug it into any standard European outlet. Although if you are in the US or any country that has the 110, we typically have a transformer available to plug it into the transformer to convert the voltage. In addition, we do need clean compressed air to connect to the equipment. And this must run at 6 bar or about 90 to 100 psi. To operate the machine, it is controlled by foot pedal. We can control it a couple of different ways. If we press the foot pedal and let go one time, it will feed one pearl at a time. If we hold the foot pedal down, it will feed pearls continuously. Once we release the foot pedal, then the machine will stop. If you do need more information on the Vollperlen machine, please contact your agent. Gregor, thank you very much, and see you next time.